Hi, everybody. As Rosemary said, I'm Michael Dougherty, and I'm the director of the 2020 ReelAbilities Film Festival. Welcome from clearly around the world. First of all, just a little bit of housekeeping. We want to thank our community sponsors and our industry sponsors for their contributions because this wouldn't have been possible without them. And we're going to do about 15-20 minutes of conversations between myself and all of you, and then take about 5 minutes, 10 minutes of audience questions. So my first question is, what inspired each of you to make the movie that you did? Obviously disability is the theme, and this is what we're here to sort of talk about, but what was that initial seed for you in making each of your movies? And if you could just state who you are and the movie that you made when you answer. Anybody can go.
I'll start. So my name is Or. I'm the creator of the film Bube Maises. It was kind of my graduation film from university, and at the beginning I had a really hard time to find an inspiration for the movie and for the script itself. And one time I went to see my grandmother who is living in a nursing home, and I find out that there are so many stories to tell from that place that can be funny and exciting and sad and all the mix of the feelings together in this place. So I took her story, and she has dementia, and I looked on the internet for beautiful stories of family, real stories from families who one of them has dementia also. And I connected everything together to this story, which I wanted to showcase like the different emotions and the imagination part of all the story.
Great.
Will I go next? Yeah, I'm Stephen. I made the film What It Feels Like, which it was a short documentary on voice hearing. And like hearing voices is something which I've experienced myself. And I joined a support group, which was different people were in the support group. And people who hear voices, but they're not necessarily intrusive on their life. It's just like a experience they have. I always felt that when voice hearing is shown in the media, it's always like a negative light. It's always somebody suffering from voice hearing. It's always, somebody, they're usually the villain in the story. And I wanted to just show that people can live like a normal life hearing voices. So I wanted to concentrate on the emotion, which is why I used the little boxes that have animation, and I wanted the animation to reflect the emotion which people feel. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Alice. Did you meet me?
Yeah.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Alice from Revel, Revel in Your Body, made by Catherine Helen Fisher and Safety Third Productions. I'm the dancer and choreographer with Laura Lawson. I wanted something that was just shockingly beautiful in many ways. I wanted something that that I could experience deep in my body, and I wanted to share the physicality of being able to dance in a wheelchair in extraordinary places in unconventional ways. And so I basically met up with Kate, and we decided that me and Laurel could have this shoot, and we would make this glorious, it was a glorious day, and we would just, so that.
It's wonderful.
Okay.
Christopher or Andrea?
I'm Andrea Trivero from Italy, and I'm an engineer, and I work a lot of here in Africa in development project, and a lot of here also in Burkina Faso. And one day, one of the touch of our project was the reforestation, and we need someone that can be produce 50,000, 60,000 each year of little plant. And one day came in my office this man Daniel Balma, and he said, okay, I can produce this plant for you. No problem. And so we started to work together for 5 years. He was the nursery for our project, and for 5 years he produced 50,000-70,000 plants each year. And only so we worked together, we were friends, and only after 10 years I said, oh, but Daniel, your work is very, very, how many trees did you produce in your life until now? And we started to, and we arrived at 1 million and more trees. And I decided to, okay, I do a film. And it's my first film.
And Christopher?
Hi, my name is Christopher Cosgrove. I have short brown hair and a bit of a short brown stubble. I'm wearing like a blue sort of floral shirt. I'm in my bedroom at the moment, and the sun is just coming up outside the window because I'm in Australia. I made my short film Boldly Go as part of a graduate certificate in directing at our National Film School here about 2 years ago now. And I made the film, it was very autobiographical. I have Crohn's disease, and when I was about 21, I was diagnosed, and then had a perforated bowel when I was about 22 and was in ICU, and it wasn't planned, so I just woke up in ICU with a colostomy bag, so kind of had to very quickly learn to adapt to that lifestyle. And I really wanted to make a short film that explored what it's like having that conversation with someone the first time that you're sort of trying to start a relationship with, but I also wanted it to be a positive story. So that was sort of where it began.
Okay, I just want to say right off the bat, the fact that all of you are from different places on the globe is so exciting to be able to do this, because if we were, I'm not happy about the pandemic, but if we were having to do this in a theater, it would be much harder for some of you to be here. So thank you for taking the time to do this. So I guess the question that I have off of that is, how do you feel that disability is perceived in your neck of the woods? I mean, I certainly, as an American, I have my own view, but how do you think that people in your own countries view it and sort of handle disability? That's for anybody.
This is Alice. I don't think it's possible to answer that. I don't think it's possible to answer that question because I think of disability as being partly national, but also partly community, and like the circle of people I meet and work and live among, and that's how disability is handled for me and imagined and experienced, which is very, very different from the national understanding of disability, if there is even a single national understanding of disability that I could say match against Stephen's or Christopher's or Andrea's or even ours. You know, I believe it's not possible to come to a straightforward single answer to that. And the multiplicity and complexity of it is what makes me excited.
My contribution, I guess, I'm pretty lucky in Australia that we have pretty good social services. Obviously, there's always sort of push for more funding, but in my example, sort of with Crohn's disease, you know, we've got public healthcare system, so was able to get a lot of support. All of my ostomy supplies were free. Centres I could go to and get support. So I think relatively lucky in the country that I'm in, so I'm certainly grateful for that.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Glasgow in Scotland. It's okay here, but again, like, I think that there could always be a lot more done. I think that there's not really much visibility for disabilities in Scotland, and I like to see more of that. But yeah, there is support there, but sometimes it can be quite difficult to get it, but it is there.
Okay.
Here in Italy, we had a lot of projects, and I think the point is the most part of project are after us. After us is like when the family are not there, what happened with these person that are old, and a lot of them are not autonomous. So a lot of project is about this in Italy.
And what about you, or was there any?
Yeah. I kind of relate to what Stephen said. Like here, it feels like things are done, but never enough. And I know there are many protests of people with disabilities on the streets because they don't feel a lot of things. They feel they need more than what they get. So that's it here. Like it's not enough. It's never enough.
And I'm sorry, where are you from?
I'm from Israel.
Oh, okay. And so what was a specific challenge that each of you had in making the movie? And I wouldn't confine that to disability necessarily, just in making the movies themselves.
I'll jump in. One sort of significant challenge for my film, it was an assignment, so we only had one day to shoot. It's that sort of 7 hours, and that included meeting the two actors for the first time. So we had the script had been sent out, and we were allowed to look at sort of the show reels of our actors and then sort of list who our preferences would be. But we didn't get to actually do an audition process, so I literally met both of my actors in the morning of the shoot, and they hadn't met each other either, and then sort of had about an hour and a half to do makeup while getting them to know each other. So I think that was certainly an obstacle production-wise for me that I was quite nervous about, establishing that sort of connection really quickly between the two actors. And I was genuinely blown away by both of them, how quickly they were able to do that. And I think because perhaps it was an autobiographical story, they really wanted to kind of just listen to my story and soak up as much as that they could. And we're both really sort of generous, I think, in terms of just being really sort of open to suggestions and open to just sort of finding a connection on the set on that day. So, but that was certainly a bit scary for an early director. Yeah.
The challenge I had in the film is the fact that the film is a short film. It's only a few minutes, and the story is very complex. Like it has many different point of views, and it shows like scenes from the past, from the present, and the imagination parts. So to make it all in a short movie understandable, it was really hard. The directing and the script also. These parts were the hardest for me.
The challenge for me was that there was a lot of layer in the film, The Man of the Trees. There is the disability, there is the climate change, there is Africa, and so a lot of think inside, and the challenge was to do something very simple, and my ego could be outside of this. So only the story of Daniel and this amazing and extraordinary man have to do.
This is Alice. For me, the challenge was simply people were really uncomfortable with the concept of what we were going to do movement-wise. And there were a lot of concerns about, where were we going to do it? Would it be safe? How safe was this? What are the consequences? What are the risks? Should we be doing this? Basically, the challenge was the notion of the simple movement itself.
Yeah, for me, challenge was definitely that I had like lots of interviews, so I had like hours and hours of interviews. But because I knew that I wanted to use animation, and that would be the best way to tell the story, and animation is very time consuming, so I knew that I had to make a really short film. So the film itself was only 3 minutes, but so I had to work out what to cut out and what to keep in, and that was very, very hard. So I did lots of editing of the interviews to cut it down to a really short period of time. And yeah, and then that allowed me to make the animation. If not, it would have taken me like years to make. But yeah, so I had to make sure it was short.
Okay, so if there are any questions for our filmmakers from the audience, if you could use the hand raise function at the bottom, and then we can have one of our teammates take you off of mute and put you on camera so that you can ask it directly. That would be great. Is there anybody who'd like to ask a question?
You're also welcome to type your question in the chat box if you're also interested in doing that. We have one. We do have one, Michael. I'm going to unmute Micah Kirsch.
Micah, you there?
I'm here.
Hi, welcome to ReelAbilities Los Angeles.
How you doing, man? Let me turn this on. So my question was, so we talked about, he asked about some of the challenges Michael did about what we're kind of approaching it. I guess I would say, other than challenges, how do you approach it with, what kind of strategies do you use to make a message so powerful in such a short of time? Like, what are some strategies you said, this is how I'm going to get this done? I guess would be my question, because I was blown away about how powerful the messages were, and when a short's done really well and there's so little time to do it, and you really effectively convey your message so powerfully, that's really hard to do. So I guess my question would be, what are some of the approaches you had to make the message so meaningful in such a short amount of time?
Thanks, Micah. Anybody?
I think for me, I just concentrated on the story. So I was thinking about having like a beginning, a middle, and an end. And for that, it allowed me to kind of think about the emotion that I wanted to convey as well. So so I think that helped add to the power, the fact that it was like a story that people could follow along. And it made it like a more emotional experience, I think, to watch. So yeah, that was definitely my approach.
This is Alice. For me, it was choosing the movement really carefully, like really choosing which things would go where to set up. I guess you'd call it like setting up the shots, like which things go where and when and how. And Kate, our director, was really brilliant at that, and really thinking through camera angles. Like, how do you shoot someone moving in a wheelchair, and like why do you shoot them from that perspective? And getting all of that sorted out in advance, so that actually on shoot time, you've got the best possible shots in the best possible locations, and then thinking through like how to use light to enhance all of that.
Hi, this is Chris. For me, we had a restriction. We could only make our films I think 6 minutes max, so that helped. I couldn't make it longer than that. And so then the challenge for me, I sort of had time on my side. I was working on it across sort of a year in development. It meant I could be really brutal in the scripting process. So I just kept doing another draft or showing it to people and cutting out anything that wasn't necessary to, like I said, what is that exact core message, and anything that felt extraneous, try and find a way to get rid of it. Or the big thing I think I learned was trying to find a way to show it rather than have them say it, have actions, simple actions that the actors can do. And a really useful thing that we did about a month before we filmed was I was able to get to different actors just as a rehearsal with the script and got them just to kind of get the words in human bodies. And the moment you do that, you just realize you can just see lines. It's like, oh, you don't actually need to say that line. You can say that line with your eyes. You can say that line with a gesture. And even encouraging the actors to improvise or only say the lines they feel they need to say in the moment. And that, from a writer-director perspective, was really useful to just kind of cut, and only keep what was the core essence of the story.
So, or Stephen, we've only got about Andrea, we only have about 2 minutes left. Do you have anything to add?
Well, yeah, I will add because it's an animation movie, so maybe it will add something to it. My strategy was to first of all think of what I want to say in the movie, and then to connect the story about that that involves what I wanted to say. And so first of all, I made a draft of animation after I made a script and everything else. And then I looked at this draft. The first draft is very different from the film that came out at the end, because I just got the flow with it. And since they didn't say anything at first, I deleted and make new ones, and the film just came about at the end of the process.
Great. Andrea?
For me, the strategy or the approaching was very simple, very natural, because after 4 years that we worked together, we were friends. So I remember the day after 10 years, because each year I come back in Burkina Faso for a different reason. And one day I was there in the garden, or Daniel's garden, and I say, Daniel, can I start to film you? And he asked me why. There is not too interesting about my life, and I said no, but it's interesting. Can I do this? And okay, if you want to do this, no problem, you can start. And we spoke like all the other day, and so it was very easy. I filmed all the documentary with my camera, a little camera that I bought in a store under my house, 200 euro, and I put the camera 20 centimeters on the ground, because this is the layer where Daniel lives. And okay, I did.
That's great. Well, again, on behalf of ReelAbilities Los Angeles, I'm not grateful for the pandemic, but I'm grateful that we were able to do this. And I know some of you had to get out of bed to do it. So on behalf of the whole organization, thank you for your movies, and thank you for talking with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Okay.